Johnny here for Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. So I've broken up the video on solutions to Bronco problems into two parts, and I've done that because, well, a 28 minute video, not a whole lot of people get to that end of the video, but there's a lot of important information in the middle and the end. So I've broken it up into two parts. And I also want to mention that while I am going to be covering everything from, lift kits, sidebars or running boards as some call them, all the way to, fixing that sound bar or sound system problem, because some people are saying that the sound system, unless you have the Bang & Olufsen, isn't quite loud enough. Well, these are the types of things that I'm going to be talking about in part 1 and part 2 of Bronco problems and solutions. But I want to add a little bit to this, and that's that, if one of your solutions are to wait for a 2022 because you are worried about some of the problems that have been, talked about and arising in regards to top problems, some very rare suspension problems. And if that worries you and you do want to wait until 2022, hoping that these things, and obviously not just hoping, these things will get worked out, or if you just want, you want your exact build and you're not willing to sacrifice. Well, that's what I'm going to be talking about in these videos. So I want to let you know, start off with a little bit of good news. The date's going to be put up right beside me, but I believe it was the 21st. It's going to be the 21st of September of this year. So the 21st of September, you're going to be able to order your 2022 Bronco. So, either that your current order will convert if it's not buildable, or that is when you can start looking at really officially what the colors are. And I'm going to be talking about colors in part 2. You're going to be seeing all the colors that are going to be available for 2022, plus the sneak peek list didn't have the green, but that's been confirmed by a high up at Ford. I'm also going to be talking about front bumpers and really all the accessories that could hold you back. So just quickly to add that in, I have another whole video on this, but the Sasquatch package, I talked about how demand versus capacity, that was at minus 15 points. So your Sasquatch package had good chances of holding you back unless you're very early on your dealer's allotment list. So if you're in the first, let's say 30%. The front electronic locker, minus 23 points. Trailer tow, minus 25 points. I'm going to be talking to you about the solution of what to do with that trailer hitch, because I can tell you, you can safely add it later on. I'm going to explain to you in part 2 how I did that and how that got my Bronco built. I really jumped ahead of the list. So dealers have allotment lists. Let's say that they're promised to be built 24. Well, as long as reservation holders fill up those 24, it means they're getting built, unless you have equipment that is unbuildable that could get you pushed to 2022. But you can also jump ahead of the list if other people who have, accessories that are holding them back, but your Bronco is buildable. Well, the factory's got to keep rolling. The show must go on, and they're going to be pumping out Broncos. So they're going to be pumping out my Bronco, and in this video, I'll be talking to you in hopes that you get your Bronco sooner if you can live without some of these things. So other accessories that can cause problems are the brush guard, minus 9 points, minus 24 points for the modular front bumper. So I think the modular front bumper, it is fantastic to have a steel bumper. That's going to save you a lot of headaches. However, you can get one aftermarket. You don't have to have your Bronco built with a steel front bumper when the aftermarket are going to have steel front bumpers that are as nice, or maybe even, nicer in the sense that you'll have something that's unique or a little more unique. So even though my Badlands has that modular front bumper, I got lucky because most of the reservations at my local dealership were, had pretty much all the constraints, and they're pretty much all hardtop. So the hardtop is a major constraint. Just to let you know, the molded in color hardtop is minus 35 points. Whereas unless you're a two-door, if you're a two-door, it's minus 9 points, because Ford definitely, what we can tell from the demand versus capacity list is that Ford does not want to leave two-door people high and dry. They are focusing a lot of the hard tops to two-door people. But you know, for other accessories that you can maybe live without, you know, like paint protection film, -5 points, or Lux package, if you can live without the Lux package at -21 points and switch that to a high package, well, the high package doesn't seem to have any issues. Now I'm talking about the demand versus supply list a lot. And the reason for that is because the main issue people are having with the Bronco is actually just getting the Bronco. Most people are getting, you know, it seems like people are out there getting a little impatient, a little frustrated, and I understand that. And that's why I've actually made a whole video on demand versus capacity. You know, I talked about getting your Bronco sooner, the complete list. So that's the thumbnail that you can click on and have a whole video on it. But just to really summarize it extremely quickly, basically how it works is if, let's say, someone has, you know, trailer tow, brush guard, modular front bumper, that's the steel bumper, and Lux package. Well, if a whole lot of people keep, and that's actually what a lot of people do have, by the way, but if a whole lot of people keep that as their build, that you happen to be the one that removes, you know, each thing that you remove that has restraints on, you know, capacity versus demand, you increase your chance of jumping ahead of the list, because Ford isn't going to reserve the parts for, let's say, Billy Bronco's Bronco, who has every hard to come by part, until they're ready to build it. The factory's just got to roll full speed. So if, let's say, in my case, I removed the hitch on a 2.7 liter Badlands. So I wasn't exactly, you know, the easiest build. I had a few of the, you know, the rare parts, you could say. Well, mine got built probably because other people still had builds that had, let's say, the Lux package and, you know, paint protection film, and let's say safari bar. So I think all those things that I just mentioned, the safari bar, the paint protection film, are things you can live without. You can think about whether you can go from a Lux package down to a high package. And the trailer tow, I'll cover that in the video, but the hitch you can definitely take off and add later. So if your Bronco becomes buildable beyond people who have, let's say, almost everything on the naughty list, well, you know what? Santa's building you your new toy. So I'm just gonna leave it at that because I do cover it in that video. The thumbnail, as I mentioned, is getting your Ford Bronco sooner, the complete list. So you can check that out if you really want to get the full details on this. Now, I just want to talk a little bit more before we jump really into point by point each thing. I'm going to be talking about lift kits in this video, and I do use the term presents, and that's because I try to make these videos for, well, everyone. And let's be honest, the majority of people that buy Broncos aren't going to be hardcore off-roaders off-roading every single weekend. So a lift kit for them probably is going to be more about look than practicality. But if you are one of those hardcore off-roaders, you know, that's awesome. That's so cool. This is what this machine is built to do. But you know, if I want to really cover it properly, I'd have to do a whole video just on lift kits and tires. But if you were to ask me what I like for tires, well, I've personally used BF Goodrich KO2s and I absolutely love them. But that's really an individual case by case, you know, piece of advice, because it all depends what your need is. That's what's going to decide how many inches you lift your Bronco if you're, you know, off-roading and you need to lift your Bronco as opposed to just wanting more presence and more look. Which is probably, you know, if I had to guess, that's maybe 90% of Bronco owners. Well, for the 10% that are going to do anything from, you know, off-roading once a month to off-roading every single weekend, well, you're gonna know what you need. And if you don't, or you're not sure, I think the best place to go is, you know, go to your Ford store, go to the parts department, and let them suggest tires that fit your need. BF Goodrich KO2s work for me because they're legal in the winter and they're an okay winter tire, and they're pretty good at, you know, everything off-road. They're definitely not the best. They're, you know, a good, durable, long-lasting tire. I've also had, you know, my F-150 before had Toyo Open Country AT AT, I think it was 2s, but now they're up to AT3s if I'm not mistaken. I took those tires off. They lasted a really long time. They're part of the previous owner had them on the vehicle for quite a while. And anyways, I was able to get those down pretty low and they're still functioning really great. But hey, that's not a tire you can use in the winter. Hence why I prefer the BF Goodrich KO2s, which I find really durable. An extremely durable tire is Goodyear Wrangler All-Terrain Adventure, with Kevlar. So those Goodyear Wrangler all-terrain tires are, they're supposed to have a tread life of 60,000 miles, and I think that's pretty incredible. But basically, whether, some people, they're off-road use, they're gonna have their own set of tires and mags for when they go off-roading. They'll slap them on when they get to the trail. So, it's all very much case by case. Are you the type of off-roader that does it occasionally, so you want a good overall on-road and off-road tire? Well, if so, go with the BF Goodrich KO2, because that's a tire that is not noisy on the road, and it is durable. And I found it noise-wise. The Toyo Open Country's AT were also similar. They're good tires, but you can't take them out in the snow, and that's what kind of bugged me with those. But anyways, go see a tire specialist, either a tire shop that dedicates everything they do to tires and mags, and let them advise you on, how much lift you need. Tell them what you want to do with your Bronco or your Ford store. Tell them, hey, this is what I want to do with my Bronco. This is what I need. This is what I can tolerate. And let's say I can't tolerate road noise. Well, if you can't tolerate, you want the least amount of road noise, but you still want some off-road tires, I think they're probably going to suggest some BF Goodrich KO2s. So we're going to be talking about all that in this video, breaking it up into part 1 and part 2 to make it a little more watchable, because who can sit down and watch a video for a whole 30 minutes? So there'll be 2 parts to this, and I really hope that it does help you out. It's the goal of this channel, and if you have been finding these videos helpful, or if you find this video helpful, please help us out. It's completely free for you. Just hit that like button early on in the video and subscribe, and you'll be helping to feed a poodle. So let's jump right in and get right to Bronco problems and solutions. So today we're going to be covering some common issues people are having with the Bronco, or its engines, or its options. So today we're covering all the issues that people have been having with the Bronco. We're going to be looking at a list that covers over 5 issues that people have been having with the Bronco, and I'm going to be covering their solutions. So hi, welcome back. I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, and off screen here, this is your co-host, Winston, here to give his little bit of input. Now, let's just put the pedal to the metal, jump right in, and get right to it. We're going to be talking about delays. We're going to be talking about, getting in and out of the vehicle, sound system issues, and a whole lot more. So here we go. Number 1 of the over 5 things that have been bothering people with the Bronco. So the first thing, it's really been common lately. People have been talking about the sound system. So with the sound system, what's the issue people are having? Well, they're saying if you don't get the Bang & Olufsen sound system, you're not getting a whole lot of noise from the front, because there aren't speakers in those removable doors, of course. You wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want to remove your doors and then be removing your speakers. So there's no speakers in those front doors. Now, here is an awesome solution. There's going to be an aftermarket. I'm going to try to include already the photo of one company that is going to have something pretty sweet coming right up. And that is a sound bar for your roof. So your back roof beam, which is always in place, your back roof beam, there's a sound system, and there'll be multiple sound bars coming out, but right now it looks like there's already one in the works. That's going to give you a big sound bar. Now, a lot of us have sound bars on our TVs, and I think a lot of us can attest that a sound bar in front of a TV offers excellent sound for an entire living room, and you can even animate a party on your entire first floor with some of these sound bars. So sound, really, there's your solution, and that's what this whole video is about. It's about looking at what the problems are that people are having with the Bronco and finding what the solutions are. So number 2, well, some of you might feel that the Bronco is actually missing some presence or height. Come on, really? Okay, well, I can kind of get it. I did have the Outer Banks in my actual hands, and the Outer Banks without a Sasquatch package is huge. It has a lot of presence. You sit in it and you feel really high up. Now, Winston's gonna love it because when we pull that top back, he likes to be, he loves the wind in his little hair, and he also likes to be surprisingly high up, and that's why whenever I do these videos, he comes rushing in and jumps on top of me. Now, the Outer Banks, it already is huge without the Sasquatch package, but I get it. For the Badlands, which is already higher than an Outer Banks, I'm already looking at either a 1 or 2 inch lift kit. I'd love to hear your comments on whether you think I should get a 1 or 2 inch lift kit on a Badlands. My Badlands, that's on the way, but here's a solution to this. If you want your Bronco to have more presence, you've got really multiple solutions. You've got Zone Off-Road that already has a 1 and 2 inch lift kit, and I've got a whole video covering this in depth, but essentially when you put a 1 inch lift or a 2 inch lift on an F-150, there's never any issues with, you know, your brake lines being overextended. There's never any issues with the drive shaft. Really, everything is A-okay. It all passes the test, so I'm sure with the Bronco adding 1 inch lift or spacer at the top of your shock tower, it's not going to cause any issues. And Zone Off-Road is actually making it from the same material, sort of the nylon glass fiber mix that Ford's using on the F-150 work tailgate, so there shouldn't be any issues for reliability. I really do not suggest putting on kind of doing your homemade hockey puck or out of whatever material you find and make yourself at home. They're only $60, but I've got a whole video covering that spacer, so let's just move right along. If you want more presence or height on your Bronco, it's not going to be an issue, and a lot of this can come from wanting to put on bigger tires. And of course, if you do put up bigger tires on your Bronco and you don't have a Wild Track or Sasquatch, keep in mind the Wild Track to get 35s takes off the front crash beam as well as the crash beam that's right behind the front tires. So the 2 crash beams that surround the tire, you need to take those off. By the way, that's just going to be a 4-bolt process, so isn't an issue at all. So there's your solution. Number 3 problem that people seem to be having. Well, this is a big one, and I've got several videos covering this more in depth, but I'll cover it right here in the next, 30 seconds or so. No hardtop Broncos seem to be available, and that seems, it's the impression people are getting. Ford is getting hardtops from Webasto. And Webasto, once again, is the company supplying these hardtops for Ford. And I want to touch on this one because in my last video that I brought out about 5 days ago, early July, I had some comments saying, the factory isn't going to be going, the second Webasto factory won't be running until 2023. I just want to clarify this. First of all, if Webasto moves forward with a second factory in the Detroit area, it's going to be ready and helping production for hardtops in 2022. But it is an if. There's no guarantee. There's no confirmed news. You can go check that out on Ford Authority, but there's no confirmed news. I'll try to post it on either side here, the information, the proof, because I always think it's great. If you got something to say, please add them in the comments section, and it is absolutely great when we can, add a little internet link or say where we got our information from. I'm totally okay with being wrong, but I like to know why, because otherwise then I do extra research to see if there's anything new that I missed from the last time I did my research. So really, 2 solutions for the whole hardtop issue. First of all, while Ford has declined to say exact build numbers for 2021 and 2022 models, a while back they were saying that they had said that they had hoped for 80,000 for 2021, and there was a hope, and this didn't directly come from Ford, but there was a hope that there'd be 160,000 for 2022. Now that's something coming from Mr. Fioroni. It's from Ford Authority. Essentially, he works for a company that sort of looks at all the math behind this. And anyways, I'll put that info right on the side, but they're hoping for 160,000 2022s. And what does that really mean? Well, that means that a lot of our hardtop issues will get resolved if you just wait. But waiting isn't the only solution, because Webasto currently is going to be making around 100 hardtops. If they have a second factory open up, well, that definitely is going to fix the problem. But you could, yes, be waiting quite a while for a hardtop. So the whole idea basically that you can't have a Bronco for 2.5 or 3 years is wrong, because the second solution is that you just need to go with a soft top. Right now, currently, there aren't any soft top delays being caused by a lack of soft tops. The soft tops are fine. Okay, so if you do make your swap to a soft top, the good news there is, according to Ford, you have until July 16th to do this. And this is probably a deadline, I'm hoping, only so that you're considered for the September builds. And that would make a lot of sense, because Ford, for the last while, has been giving people build dates 30 to 45 days before they're actually going to be built. So I really do think, I said this last week, I figured that it'd be this week or next that Ford would be, filling up and allotting the September month. So you have until July 16th to make a soft top swap. So basically, if you haven't been given a VIN number yet, you can make this swap. It's not going to cause you any issues with where you are on the waiting list for your build. And if anything, if you go soft top when other people don't, it's going to help you jump ahead. Now, I also have a full video covering this, because my build jumped ahead because I switched to a soft top. The only issue is I did it in early June. So the good news is I'm getting built in August. However, it's only builds as of September 1st that are going to get the full hardtop prep kit. Now, what is the hardtop prep kit? Well, it's the electrical for the rear defrost, it's the electrical for your back wiper, and also, of course, the plumbing for that wiper. And let's not forget the switches in the dash. So that's a full kit, from switches in the dash to all the electrical and plumbing going to the back. You get that, and what I would recommend as part of this solution is get an aftermarket top later on, because Ford's spare tops are only going to be available as of 2023 from what Ford is telling us thus far. So you really got to think aftermarket, and I'm thinking aftermarket. I don't think we'll have any hard tops available for this winter, but I am thinking spring or summer, and I'm inclined more to think, we'll be shopping for hard tops in June or July of next year. So 10 to 12 months, and we've got some good hard top options. If you're wondering price, well, you can just look at current Jeep Wrangler hardtops and what they're selling for. Okay, problem 4, and I get this one. The Bronco. It's hard to get into. Now, there are grab handles on the sides of each dash, driver and passenger, and Ford put them there to help you get in. But that's not the ultimate solution, especially if you've got, a bad back or a bad knee. I have both, and I'm not, 6'4", slightly under 6 foot. So I found getting into the Outer Banks a bit of an issue, and I think that it would have been more of an issue if there's just no sidebars at all, or side steps. You probably need a side step on this. However, here's the issue. If you're off-roading and you have a side step that's a little weak, it's gonna get beaten up. So let's hope the aftermarket soon offers us either, RTR or 4-wheel parts or zone off-road. Let's hope one of these companies, and I'm sure they will very soon, offer us side steps that are, off-road proof. So really made of some thick metal. It'll be worth the extra money that you spend, because, I've seen a lot of F-150s with side steps that get crushed. They don't look great. Then you've got to replace them. And what's more, you might even want to consider, putting on a kind of like that material that goes into a spray bed liner material. So kind of like this hard rocker guard material. You'll probably want to cover the sidebars with that if they don't already come covered. Now let's hope that they connect to the frame, because when they connect to the bottom of the truck's panels, we've seen on F-150s, with time they can become a little loose from all the weight going on and off. And of course, then there's always the rust issue. Those are all long-term problems. For now, what I can say is that Ford's side steps are good, it's only worth going in the aftermarket if you're really going to get some off-road proof ones, or if Ford decides to add, to their 198 accessories, if they kick it up just a little over 200, maybe they'll be offering us some side steps that are off-road proof. Now, little side note, make sure they're over 3 inches wide, and really make sure ideally they're 5 and even 6 inches wide, because if you're dealing with any winters, I've slidden off sidebars. So if you don't want to be, if you don't want those side steps to cause you to, slip, slide, and fall, and injure your back, I do suggest getting something that's 5 inches or wider. You're gonna thank me for that one.